Katy Purry, the dope. Are we keeping you up? The dope Maine Coon kitty. I'm her human. He's in kind of a cute mood right now, so I thought it'd be fun to maybe do a little video and talk a little bit about cats. And I'm going to tell you a few funny stories about my cat. I had a great cat growing up. Her name was Linda. She was a funny animal. But I'm talking about these stories just to talk about the resilience of cats, how they have 9 lives. She's on her second day of taking antibiotics. You know, I got to put the pill in her mouth, which she doesn't dig, but she immediately gets a churro, a little cat treat thing we squeeze up, and it's this little liquid kind of. She likes the tuna and scallop. She likes the tuna a lot, but the chicken and the cheese is her favorite, I think. She really loves that a lot, so she's going to get that in a few hours. But to talk about she's coming back from her little illness, but cats are tough creatures. My cat's name was Linda. I named it Linda because I had a little crush on, not little, it was a huge crush on my dad's secretary, whose name was Linda. And so I named my cat Linda. Anyhow, there's a few good stories. One I think I've told on the story. This one, I may have told both of these, but I'm going to tell them both in one video now because my cat's doing well. We're going to talk about cats and how tough they are. One day, my cat Linda comes home and she's got, for a lack of a better word, she's got like a spear stuck in her. Now, it wasn't from human beings, like somebody chucked a spear at her or shot her with an arrow, but it was a stick. And I don't know how it got in her. It was broken off. There was about this much hanging out of her. It was stuck in her hip right here on her hip. Now you stop playing with stuff. You silly little goober. And you're going to have fun. But anyway, she had, it was the only time I think it was the only time. I didn't think we'd ever taken her to a vet, but I was corrected because we did take her to a vet when I was talking to my family about this story. We took her to the vet and we were terrified because she had this stick sticking out of her. It was awful. When she came home, it was bloody and it was crusty and it looked terrifying. You know what I mean? And we wanted them to take the stick out because it was gruesome looking. And he said, no, he said, she's going to work it out herself. True story. So, and she was an indoor cat in that she slept indoor and she was a member of the family, but if she had to go outside, we didn't have a cat box. They just kind of stood at the door and we let them out. They came back in. So one day she was cleaning and licking, I guess, and it came out and we never saw it. It didn't drop like on the living room floor or anything. And right here on a little hip, she had a little triangular spot where there was no hair ever for the rest of her life. But that happened probably when she was maybe 7, maybe 10 years old, something like that. She lived to be 23, 22 or 23. A very long time she lived. She's an amazing cat. So another great story, we had relatives coming and they were staying in our guest part of the house. We usually kept that part closed off because we would heat the house with coal and wood. And if we didn't have company coming, we would close this section off so we didn't have to heat it. And when we were in there cleaning, getting ready my mother went in there to prepare for guests and put new sheets on the bed, the whole 9 yards. And my cat Linda snuck in there. She didn't see it. Did her business, shut the door. It was a part of the house far enough away from everybody else's rooms that when the cat was in there meowing, nobody heard her. For like a week. My uncle showed up. He was a surgeon. And cat was essentially dying. She was on her feet when the door opened up and then didn't lay down, but fell over on her side. It was terrifying. That was my cat. He said, what's the strongest alcohol you've got? My dad said 151 rum. He said, get some. Get me a bottle with an eyedropper. And he got an eyedropper and he put it in her mouth and he rubbed her chest like this and kind of cat came back. Shaky on her feet, thirsty. Took her a while to get back on her feet. But man, that was probably when she was maybe 15. So she lived another good long time. You are being silly. Supremely silly. What a great kitty this one is. I don't know if there's any other really good ones I can tell you. You know what? Really great one. At the time, I had a cat, my cat Linda, and Tommy had a cat whose name was Snooper. It was just a black cat, kind of a tuxedo, white paws, just wicked cute cat. And attitude. Linda was just the sweetest thing, but boy, Snooper had attitude. And she's purring really loud. What are you doing? You purring? You happy? You scratching right there? Scratch. All right, so we had uh, my uncle who would visit us, who was staying in the guest room when Linda almost croaked. That previous story. Same uncle had an Airedale Retriever. And he had just passed. I guess he was doing his internship. He was moving to a different apartment, and the apartment that he was moving to, stretching. That was a stretch. You're so cute. The apartment he was moving to, he wasn't allowed to have um, a dog, and his dog was named Teddy. He was a great Airedale, great dog. So he said, "Do you think Teddy can come live out?" Because we had like 180 acres of land. And he said, "Do you think Teddy can come and live out the rest of his time in where we live?" Because it was the country. And they said, "Of course he can." So they drove to our house from New York with Teddy, and another fantastic. I might have my mother. My mother would never sit in front of a camera, but I can probably get her to verify this story off camera. And I might do it because it's such a crazy story. If you hear an adult say an adult, if you're somebody else that you wouldn't, verify the story. But anyway, here's what happened. Her brother showed up with Teddy, the retriever. He was old, and the day that Teddy got there, Snooper bounced. She's like, "I'm out of here," and she left. She ran away essentially. Now we had a lot of land, and we would look outside. It was right before Thanksgiving. It was autumn, and so we would look outside, and we would see her out there on the rock wall, and she'd stick her head up and look at us, and she was. She was looking at us, and we tried to sneak her in, and she wouldn't come in, and we'd feed her and put food out, but she was mad. Now, my cat, Linda, she didn't leave. My cat was just like, she was protested differently. My cat just decided that wherever the dog was, she was going to be in the furthest part of the house available to her from that dog immediately. So he walked in the living room, she was upstairs in my sister's room. If he was in the kitchen, then he was upstairs in my brother's room. So she was away from that dog, and but Snooper ran away. Now we had the dog. We had the dog all through Thanksgiving, and then winter came, and it was like snowing out. She wouldn't come in. Springtime came. And this is a sad story. Teddy was dying. I think I don't know what he had. He was dying, and he was on the front steps of our house. And he was Airedale retrievers are big dogs. He was a big dog, and he had flopped over on his side. He was still breathing. He wasn't even dead yet. And Snooper, you are so cute. Snooper came around the corner, saw the dog, didn't didn't walk around the dog, jumped over the dog's body, stood at the door, looked back, and meowed to say, like, "Hey, let me in. I'm back." She left the day we got Teddy, dealt with the Vermont winters, midwinter, and came back the day he died. It's a cat story. They have 9 lives. So anyway, all right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to turn this thing up and turn this around, and we're going to say goodbye because she is now getting feisty. So let's say goodbye, everybody, because everybody's tuned in to watch you. So this is kind of washed out because of how white it is. This is. What are you doing? You kissing my ear? You're so cute. She's such a good kitty. All right. So anyway, this is Katy Purry, the dope Maine Coon kitty, and I am her human. We will catch you guys tomorrow with more great stories. Have a good night. Thanks for watching. Oh, please hit the subscribe button. Bless you. Hit the subscribe button. Please like this, share it. If you have trouble sleeping, watch the sleep video. We'll see you guys later. I'm her human. Bye-bye.